The front door was open when I got home and I heard laughter echoing through rooms that were supposed to be quiet. Boxes were stacked against my walls. Shoes I didn't own sat on my rug. Someone had leaned a suitcase against the staircase like it planned to stay. From the kitchen came the sound of a cabinet slamming shut, confident. Familiar. Titled. My name is Lauren Whitaker, I'm 38. How does your own home turn into a place where you feel like a guest? I stood there with my keys still in my hand, watching strangers move through my dream like it belonged to them. My brother's wife walked past me without looking up, phone pressed to her ear, laughing. She laughed the way people do when they feel safe. Protected. Untouchable. My brother finally noticed me. He smirked, not surprised. Oh. You're back already? He said like I had interrupted something small. Behind him his in-laws were already choosing rooms. One of them patted the wall and said, "Solid house. You did good for yourself." Not thank you. Not we asked. Just approval like a landlord inspecting property. I looked at the framed photo still wrapped in paper on the floor, the one I bought to hang above the fireplace, and realized something quietly devastating. You can work your whole life for peace, and still have it stolen by people who share your last name. No one stopped unpacking. A woman I didn't know ran water in my sink like she'd paid the bill herself. A man older than my father sat on my couch, shoes still on, flipping channels. The sound of my television filled the room, loud and careless, covering the silence that was growing inside me. I cleared my throat. What's going on? My brother waved a hand, distracted. Relax. It's temporary. Temporary is a dangerous word. It sounds small. It sounds harmless. It's how boundaries die quietly. His wife finally looked at me. She smiled, slow and sweet, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. Family helps family, she said. You wouldn't want us uncomfortable, right? Someone laughed. A soft mocking laugh. Not cruel. Worse. Casual. I walked to the hallway where my bedroom door stood half open. My mirror was there, still leaning against the wall because I hadn't hung it yet. In its glass, I saw myself standing stiff, arms folded, while behind me strangers measured my life with their eyes. I have rules, I said. My voice sounded calm. Almost polite. That did it. My brother laughed out loud. Rules, he repeated. In a family house? His mother-in-law stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was educating a child. This is family property now. Rights don't come with rules. Something shifted then. Not anger. Not fear. Clarity. And as I looked at the mirror again, I noticed something strange. The chair beside it looked like it was waiting for me to sit and decide who I was going to be next. No one asked me to sit. No one offered me space. They just kept talking over me, around me like I was furniture they'd already claimed. My brother leaned against the counter and said, "We figured it out. Utilities are in your name, sure, but we'll handle usage." He said usage like it was a favor. His wife added, "We're not freeloaders." She smirked as she said it, already daring me to disagree. In the living room, one of her sisters dragged a box across the floor. The cardboard scraped loudly, leaving a thin white line on the wood. I felt it in my chest. That sound stayed with me. "I didn't agree to this," I said. My brother sighed, loud and dramatic. "Lauren, don't start. You're single. You have space. It makes sense. Single." The word landed like a verdict. Someone muttered, "She should be grateful we're here. Houses feel empty otherwise." Empty. That one hurt more. I walked back to the mirror. My reflection looked older than this morning. Not tired, alert. Awake in a way I hadn't been before. I touched the edge of the glass, grounding myself. "I need everyone out by tonight," I said quietly. The room went still. Then laughter. Real laughter this time. His wife tilted her head. "You can't just throw us out. That's not how family works." My brother's smile hardened. "Don't be dramatic. You won't do anything." Behind him, the front door remained wide open, letting cold air rush in. And for the first time, I understood something terrifying and freeing at the same time. They thought I needed their permission. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I picked up my purse from the chair that still looked like it had been saving my place and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" my brother called out. I paused with my hand on the handle. "Out," I said. Nothing more. Behind me, someone muttered, "She'll cool off." Another laughed and said, "She always does." The door closed softly. Too softly. That hurt more than a slam. Outside the air felt sharper. Cleaner. I sat in my car for a moment, hands resting on the steering wheel, staring at my dark reflection in the windshield. The house lights flickered behind me, alive with people who didn't belong to me, or to that space. I unlocked my phone. First the bank app. Every utility bill. Every auto payment. All of it tied to my name. I scrolled slowly, calmly, like I was reading a recipe. I didn't rush. Rushing leads to mistakes. Then the locksmith's number. Still saved from when I bought the place. I stared at it, thumb hovering. A text buzzed from my brother. Don't be petty. Petty. Another word people use when they feel cornered. I looked back at the house. A curtain moved. Someone was already settling in. I pressed call. As the phone rang, I felt something steady settle in my chest. Not rage, not revenge. And inside that house they were still unpacking, completely unaware that the ground beneath them was about to go very quiet. The locksmith's van arrived before sunset. I watched from across the street, engine off, window cracked. The sound of metal clicking echoed softly, almost polite. Each turn of the tool felt like a sentence being rewritten. Inside I could hear movement. Confusion. A voice asking, "Why isn't the key working?" My phone buzzed again. This time it was my brother calling. I didn't answer. Instead I opened my utilities app. One by one I toggled things off. Water first. Then gas. Electricity last. The screen dimmed slightly as if it understood what I was doing. A few minutes later the house went dark. The porch light died mid-flicker. The laughter inside stopped. Silence rushed in, thick and sudden. I stepped out of the car and stood on the sidewalk. From inside came knocking now. Agree. A voice yelled my name like a command. I walked closer, not to the door but to the window near the living room. I could see them in the dark, lit only by phone screens. Faces tight. Boxes half open. Someone tripped over a suitcase. My brother's wife shouted, "This is illegal." I smiled just a little. Not at them. At the mirror image in the glass, steady and still. My phone chimed again, this time an email confirmation. Legal services. Papers filed. Notices scheduled. They were still unpacking when the knock came, not from me but from the process they never thought I'd start. And for the first time all evening I felt the house breathe. The next morning the house was eerily quiet. I drove by slowly, keeping the car low, windows down. Inside, shadows moved hesitantly. My brother's wife tried turning the lights on. Nothing. Water ran in taps that were dry. Their phones buzzed, emails pinged, bills unpaid, warnings piling up. I didn't gloat. Not out loud. I just watched. A neighbor stepped onto their porch, curious. One glance at the open windows and they shook their head. Whispered words traveled across lawns. Not your business, not your home. I went back home. My own front door. My own keys. The mirror in the hallway reflected me, calm, untouched by the chaos across the street. That reflection had become my anchor. By noon the phone rang. A lawyer. My brother's name. They were asking questions they should have asked years ago. I listened calmly, letting the words sink in. Every hesitation, every stammer, every plea was a note in the quiet symphony I'd composed without raising my voice. Then a soft knock at my door. I didn't rush. I waited. The paper in my hand trembled slightly, the legal notice I'd sent, confirming what they already felt in their chest. This is my home. Not a playground. Not a favor. And in that moment I realized, revenge isn't about anger. It's about restoring what was stolen, one careful, silent step at a time. By evening, the house across the street was still half dark. I watched through the window as my brother tried fiddling with the locks, slamming doors, dragging boxes. His wife paced, phone glued to her ear. Their in-laws whispered furiously, shuffling papers, bills, instructions they didn't understand. No one came to me. No one begged. They were trapped in their own mistakes. I could see the tension curling around them, tight and suffocating, the way smoke fills a room and doesn't escape. I poured a cup of tea and sat by my mirror. My reflection held a faint smile, quiet, unhurried. The room smelled of lavender. A neighbor passed by, glancing at my house with a nod. Recognition. Respect. No words needed. They didn't know the details. They only sensed the difference. One home belonged to someone who protected it. the other to people who assumed ownership without understanding. Then I opened my laptop and typed a short note, brief and deliberate, sending copies to the utility companies, the bank, and the local registry. Everything formal, everything legal, everything irreversible. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Silence filled the house, thick and satisfying. No anger. No shouting. Just clarity. And I knew deep in the quiet that the storm I had started would finish exactly as it needed to, on their terms, not mine. Morning came soft and pale. I walked through my halls barefoot, listening to the familiar creak of the floorboards beneath me. The sunlight touched the corners where my furniture had been carefully arranged, untouched, waiting. The house breathed quietly around me, finally at peace. Across the street, movement stirred. My brother's family was gathering their things, faces pale, voices low. The neighbors whispered. The deliveries, the unpaid utilities, the frozen accounts, all of it had pushed them to leave without a single word to me. No defiance left, only silent retreat. I stood by the mirror in the hallway, tracing the edges with my fingers. It reflected not just me, but the quiet triumph of boundaries reclaimed, of dignity restored. I thought of their mocking laughter, their claims of family rights, and I let it drift past me like smoke. They had learned something I never needed to teach them. I poured a cup of coffee, the aroma filling the empty space. My phone buzzed once, a final notification. Confirmations that everything had been legally settled. I didn't feel joy. I felt clarity. Peace. The chair near the mirror, once waiting for a decision, now seemed satisfied. I sat, sipping slowly, letting the calm settle. My home was mine again, and in that stillness I understood the truth. Real revenge is quiet. Real power is in knowing your worth and protecting it. I smiled faintly, closed my eyes, and whispered to the empty room, home at last.